Hello, welcome to I Don't Know, We Can Talk About It, where we discuss myriads of topics civilly, responsibly, and reasonably. My name is Kevin Dufresne. We're going to jump right into our first two topics. Cell phones in schools. Growing up without cell phones, of course, I'm on the side of we're likely not, we being society, in a position to say that cell phones are necessary components of schooling. Perhaps other factors will elevate without cell phones. Perhaps better parenting standards, better parental child connections. Generationally, looking at cell phone developments in society in connection with social growth, cell phones are becoming seemingly pertinent to one's being. If you pay for something, I think using it makes sense. Of course, how many individuals are using cell phones responsibly? Meaning in connection with what its purpose is really for. The basic concept of a phone, to communicate with someone, initially call to call. Now with all these developments, can one really say that a student with a cell phone is really using the cell phone for its initial purpose? I feel as though communication can improve without cell phones, especially in school. Beyond anxiety and conversations of mental health, I really feel that a huge part of what is actually connecting people, the in-person contact, communication, good communication, is at the core of human development. Students being able to feel in a space open barriers of communication can thrive more. Where else is one going to find an answer? Outside of what they're already in? Perhaps. Though, what if an answer is already within that which one is already within? Growing up, understanding how to be human, how to navigate human being, an individual in communication with communities, community members, in person, connecting via phone or scheduling properly, I'm quite aware that a different level of responsibility is when a person has and does not have a cell phone. Of course, what I'm discussing is not to overtake personality. Of course not. Though character and personality can develop by oneself, one is usually in development, character-wise and personality-wise, with that which one interacts with. Aside from one's thinking, especially if one is not completely mature in thinking. Thinking is very valuable. Consider all the technology up to date now. Individuals that have come to set standards simply by living, looking outside, or working, or perhaps in conversation, to create an invention that others reinvent or improve upon years, decades, generations, centuries later. As the famous adage goes, what's the point of reinventing the wheel? I think it's so important to understand human development is a form of social advancement that individuals are improving upon. I don't think there will be a symbiosis between electrical devices and human being to the degree that a human will be completely reliant on an electronic device, though we do see wonderful advancements in technology where a symbiosis does exist, though a human is fully in control. With that assistance, I think a human can be a more mindful individual. And human societies at large can understand how competitive educational groundings are developing with certain technologies. A student that may be capable with certain technologies, like a cell phone, may be as competitive as a student without one. Though that works both ways. What is the benefit of a calculator? If one is able to do mathematics without a calculator, with a pen and paper, without any electrical digital medium, and one is able to do mathematics with electrical digital mediums, how is the human developing brain-wise on an integral level? Science backs that the brains are developing in completely different ways. Albeit, both individuals are still doing the mathematical work. There are different long-term benefits when one engages in certain parameters, particularly of learning, of writing, of being, that connect one's developments in the long run differently depending on how one proceeds, inclusive of the technology one uses, inclusive of how one develops with the available, accessible parameters of technology. I think approaching cell phone use, especially in relation to school, especially in relation to learning as well as youth, is very, very important. I think what individuals are able to access at near any time, especially without regard for a resource, is very challenging for an individual that might not even be completely aware of the world one lives in. There are individuals that do benefit from using technology. Though, in relation to individuals that are aware of the world without technology, especially an intelligent individual, there's quite an understanding, because this dichotomy exists not only with youth, but also with adults. And we see a generational conversation that is already in the mix, if not already in the front line of discussions concerning individuals that garner varying levels of success with and or without technology. I think the more aware humans are as a society at large of what communication standards are, the better humanity will be in the long run. Especially individuals that may not responsibly know how to use technology. There are many cases that one may bring up in this conversation, how casino mentality, betting mentality plays into technological developments. And don't find any alarm that companies already have plethora of research about how technology can affect an individual's well-being. Many companies create technology, whether that be a watch, a digital clock versus an analog clock, on the basis of human psychology. are very few secrets, though of course there are still many discoveries to be in the accessible form for individuals that may be curious, that may be doing research about human development. I think regarding human ingenuity, historically in documents, is quite important to relegating what is necessary for human development. We are not starting from the beginning every day. It is important to be mindful that much of what many want to discover is already present. Even if it's in a book in the library collecting dust from the 50s, 60s, or 70s, the information is relevant to what's happening in modern society. Why might that be? Well, individuals are contemplating the very discussions concerning human development, though in relation to a medium. That part is already complete. What might seem so new, this may seem ecclesiastical, needs a little bit of respect in other contexts, because the other context, though seemingly older, is very relevant. So where social media might make something seem very new because a new population is experiencing it, the new information, a researcher is reviewing work of many researchers that already provides the answers that are necessary so that human society can move on at large. Researching and libraries and books. Humanity has not come this far without intelligent individuals. With that, on to bringing cursive writing into schools. I think writing is an essential part of brain development that many medical professionals acknowledge. Additionally, writing creates different connective aptitudes in one's brain. I'm going with the good science. How might one develop well? Even in the midst of AI potentially being a resource for students, how might one develop well? Because one wants to improve oneself. The existence of a technology that might make a portion of education easier, though might be harmful to learning, does not mean that improving learning is not a possibility. Considering methods of teaching are going to be effective differently for each student, because each student is an individual requiring different attention, because school is a middle ground where a student comes from a different place to be there for a moment before going on to another location. Learning developments really need to consider individual growth as well as the reality that many individuals are growing in a social atmosphere together. The atmosphere being educational in this particular conversation means a method needs to be in place to acknowledge, not only for the educator's sake, but for the student's sake in connection with the educator as well as the materials, that parameters of learning that are developing need acknowledgement. Students need to adhere to the educational atmosphere for reasons that benefit the students in long-term senses. Cursive writing is an interesting conversation because there are areas of the academic geography which are implementing cursive writing as a part of a standard of development. These individuals we might consider to be a part of a cohort that will be developing quite differently than others that do not have to partake in writing cursive. Is there a universal form of education to acknowledge? Perhaps. I think the methods of development, not only as a student, not only as an individual to get grades, beyond that, human development, long-term thinking, through these learning parameters, through these learning environments, these educational atmospheres, can really be effective for an individual's well-being regarding standards of knowledgeable, basic understandings from methods of learning that are effective with a history of being so. Cursive writing is a start. What else might a student learn? Who might be teaching the student? There are so many variables at play, not only concerning learning within the educational atmosphere, though all that connects within this middle ground, as well as all that connects to the middle ground, as well as all that connects outside of the middle ground. Learning is beautiful, education is wonderful, and so long as human development toward the best potentials of accomplishment are being set, receiving the proper methods of implementation through whichever good, positive methods available, accessible, I think many people will benefit. Individually, of course, though society at large will greatly benefit with such understandings. All right, we're going on to origami time. Now, this is a new origami for me. So of course, I'm going to be taking a gander every so often here at the origami guide. I'm going to be working as efficiently as possible in this time to produce an origami form of a sort. So first, I make the square. By taking the rectangle sheet, if you have a square, you don't have to do this, and crossing it corner to corner. You can see it adds an initial fold. I actually need a fold. It has to be up and down. So here, I can take this sheet and fold it open, as is the requirement from the instructions, and unfold it. Then fold the paper up into this diamond. Now that the diamond is complete, I'll follow the instructions to fold the top points down. And mind you, this is only on one side. And then I'm going to unfold the step here by bringing these points back up. So I'm at the original diamond base. Next, I have to fold the left and right points in, then unfold them. What this looks like is a creation of just folds. So I'm just creating the folds. Then the unfolding happens. So here's the unfolding. Now, along this crease, I am to double unfold happens. Along this crease here, I am to fold in. So it's actually like a perfect corner of a square. So it says, bring the right side in. So I'm gonna bring this right side in. Let's see how perfect this is. I think it's perfect, but I'm gonna see how perfect it is right now. And well, if I bring it in, how much can I bring it in? The real question. Because it seems to be overlapping uniquely. Let's see what it says. So then it says fold the right section back up, squashing the folds underneath. Back up, squashing the folds underneath. Hey, I'm just gonna try to bring this together somehow, all right? So this comes here, this comes here, and it's done! Honestly, I'm just going with the folds. Get it? Going with the folds, going with the flow. Alrighty then. So now I'm gonna bring this one back over here. I have to do the same fold on the opposite side. So apparently, I take this portion here on the inside, I fold it down in, then it's telling me to fold it again inside. How did I do it on the opposite side? To be honest with you, I was just literally going with the fold. So I come here again, I'm in this interesting position here, and I have to figure out how to do this. So I came back here, squashed it. Let's see if we can get this done here correctly. Okay, this is here, and then I have to turn it over. Ta-da! Okay, it's done. So just a little quick trick, it's not the entire piece that folds up. You don't fold it all the way down, you just kind of fold it, that inner piece, that's it. Makes it a lot easier to understand. Now it tells me to flip this paper over this way, and then fold the left edge over to the right edge. Make sure the open ends are at the top. So my open ends are at the top. And we're gonna move on to the next page. The folding continues. So it says bring the top layer diagonally down to the left. Done. We already have those initial folds. So bring it to the left. Then it says flip the paper over to the other side. And I have to do the same exact thing. Oh, bring the top layer diagonally down to the right. Actually, you don't do the same exact thing. Actually kind of do the opposite. So, and I turn this paper over. It's there on that side. Then I have to bring it diagonally. Oh no, that's correct. Bring it diagonally down to the right. Both sides get the same exact fold. Instructions are so wonderful. Then it says fold the flap diagonally over and down. So I'm supposed to fold this diagonally over and down. Now I see this nice little fold here, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna fold it diagonally over, then down. Okay, that's how it's supposed to look. Fold it diagonally over, then down. And then let's see. Then I bring the other flap down from behind to match. So I do the same thing. I'm folding at this crease here. There's a crease here, so it's like literally this fold here. And you bring it here, and there you have it. So at work. And then it says, fold the top point diagonally over to the left. So whatever side you have facing, just fold it over the crease that's set. There's a crease here. You just set it. And then we open up the model a bit and place it, it says, into this unique position like this. So we're supposed to be looking at it like this, actually, where everything is going down. And then it says bring the two sides inward so that you have, so we have to bring both sides inward. Okay, so from this, and then so we come in here, we have this form. This is the form we have here. Bring the two sides inward. So bring this inward, right? This is actually what they mean when they say inward. It's basically like making this beak. So you have to fold the inside in. So that little reversal is flat here, then you bring it in, reverse it. And then let's see what we got going on next. Then we have to flatten the model again. Okay, keep that initial fold, please. Okay, so we're gonna flatten the model again after giving it this wonderful fold. And this time, fold the bottom flaps up as shown. Okay, take it to this position. I have to fold it. Return it to this position, we're actually back here, perfect. And we're gonna fold the bottom flap up, one, fold the opposite side up, one, and rotate the paper, and you can now see it's a bird. Okay, so I'm gonna rotate it this way, and then flip this portion here. I feel like I have like a fighter jet bird. Like seriously, look at that. And then I flip it in here, and voila. It's like, this is my dove. This is my dove. All right. So I love doing origami also as a practice for mental development. It's a great way to stimulate one's brain, stimulate one's mind. It's a wonderful art. Credit to the Japanese, as far as I know, for introducing the art form. And I think it's just wonderful. Aside from me just doing it, I just really think it's wonderful for one's well-being. Considering there's actual research to support what I'm saying, though I feel wonderful doing origami. It's really cool. Next, we're going right into what I enjoy talking about a lot. Books, particularly physical books. The most recent book is Hatha Yoga. Well, we'll have to understand that yoga is not simply the physical movement, though yoga involves a lot of spiritual elements in relation to one's well-being that are really cool to regard in such a context. The book explains how many different positions are beneficial for a particular reason. Additionally, the book is really enlightening about the history of Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga is not quite ancient, one of the most ancient forms of developmental processing, human being, practically. And I find the text is enlightening. I may want to laugh sometimes at the context because I'm unfamiliar with doing any form of yoga for any particular reason that might be in the text for certain positions, though perhaps many in history have come to benefit from a lot of what is in Hatha Yoga. What is also quite interesting is how what the text offers as holistic medical approaches, though non-medicinal, to cure any particular situation, has improvements within modernity. A nettle, for example, to clear the nostrils. I think the Hatha Yoga book is really awesome for anyone that has an interest in what might actually be going on, for a historical understanding of Hatha Yoga, as well as to understand that yoga is encompassing of many different methodologies that might be interesting to one's approach to yoga. I think the text is quite interesting for a yogi, especially, that is very serious about one's practices, one's lifestyle, inclusive of yoga practices. So if anyone is looking for a more in-depth approach to understanding yoga, to practicing yoga, to including yoga in one's lifestyle, implementing elements of yoga in one's lifestyle, as well as to learn of cultures through certain processes in connection with yoga, I think Hatha Yoga is a wonderful text to read and contemplate over, especially if you have someone to talk with. Thank you for joining me for another episode of I Don't Know, We Can Talk About It. Onward and Upward, Kevin Dufresne.